What the world? Oh, man!
SHW, this is our wrestling.
Unbelievable.
You think you could walk all over me, but I don't see that happening. We're warriors.
This crowd is going ballistic.
We told you anybody could show up here tonight.
The Lynch Mob are your first ever SHW Tag Team Champions.
You're kidding me.
And listen to this crowd. They're loving it. Joe Black is your RumbleJack 2020 winner.
Unbelievable.
This is insane. Ooh.
You get a moonsault, and you get a moonsault, and you get a moonsault.
And now, the voices of Southern Honor Wrestling, Brandon Benefield and Gerard Bonner.
Hey again, everybody. It's your pal B-Double, Brandon Benefield, one half of your SHW commentary team, alongside my brother, GB Gerard Bonner. This is SHW. This is our wrestling. It's your wrestling. It's our wrestling. I'll get the name right. Here we are once again for another great episode. We hope everybody's been having a great week. And GB, how are you doing, my man?
Man, I'm great. It's my favorite month of the year, October. Ooh. Yeah, some great things happened this month. So I'm pumped. I'm ready, man. We're getting close to our next show, and yeah, life's good. It's a good time right now.
Speaking of which, let's see. Yeah. I guess we got a week or two left before our show. We'll have a show airing the night before Halloween, and that'll be Friday the 30th.
That's
and
right.
I've got a Halloween mess picked out. I don't know if you do, but I'm just saying you'll see it when we get to that episode. So
that's gonna be interesting. I have not given thought yet to what I'm doing for Halloween. I'm not sure. So
all right.
We'll see how it goes.
I'm just putting it out there. Now you have something to look forward to. The fans have something to look forward to. What is B-Double gonna have? What mask is he gonna wear?
I wonder what you're gonna come up with. You're pretty creative. So
you'll see. No, actually, if people had followed us on, I'll just give you a little teaser. If people had followed us on at SHW Pod on Instagram from the beginning when we started doing this, which was like early on in the pandemic, then you will have seen a photo that I posted with this particular get up. So
there are people running to Instagram right now.
Oh, I'm sure all 5 people. Like I don't know who's 5. Hopefully it'll be more than that. But I know it'll be like I know we got several. We got David Weekly's listens all the time. We got
shout out to him.
Yeah, Sam's. That's right. One of our refs. Sam Skaggs is always a great listener. Diana Michelle, our beautiful ring announcer, she's always watching. So
the one and only.
Man, I'm telling you, we got a bunch of great fans and friends and family that are always tuning in, and we appreciate that. So
absolutely.
We actually have a couple of match announcements that if you follow SHW on social media, you saw earlier this week. We've had a couple of matches been announced for SHW 21 coming up November 13th.
Yeah, we've got a couple of big ones. For one, you mentioned, well, you didn't mention it. He's just in my head that you mentioned it. But one of the things that we saw coming out of Still Here 2, in fact, that first match, which strangely enough was announced right here on this podcast, Chip Day and Jordan Kingsley, we did not know who the special referee was going to be. Of course, that night we found out it was going to be Hold My Beer Hansen. And I'm calling him MacGyver because he did that fairly well for the most part. But what ends up happening is he got attacked at the end of the match. And so now we're going to get to see the very first SHW singles competition for Hold My Beer Hansen as he takes on Jordan Kingsley. That's happening at SHW 21.
Oh, it's going to be good, man. This guy, you saw the post on SHW's page. It said that Hold My Beer Mania has been running wild all throughout the Georgia wrestling scene. And it really has. He's been popping up at shows all over the place.
He has been.
Kudos to him for, like you said, he had one of the greatest campaigns to get into the RumbleJack. And ever since then, it's just been like one show after another for this guy. So this will be his third show in a row showing up for SHW. And like you said, getting his first singles match opportunity here against member of the Honor Society, one half of Not Yet Rated, Jordan Kingsley, who, of course, has had quite an attitude change ever since teaming up with the dastardly Logan Chase. But we'll see how it goes. But I know everybody's excited to see him in action once again. I'm talking about Hold My Beer Hansen. So we will see how that goes. And, of course, another match we heard about this week coming up on November 13th, SHW 21.
Yes. We've got a big tag team title match coming. Of course, coming out of Still Here 2, the tag team champions are still Matt and Joey Lynch, the Lynch Mob. Well, teams are coming from all over the place to get their hands on the SHW tag team titles. Of course, last month we saw the Rock and Roll Express, the legendary Rock and Roll Express, make their attempt this coming September. What am I talking about? SHW 21. It's going to be great as a brand new tag team's coming to SHW. The beautiful Bald Besties will take their crack at the SHW Tag Team Championship against the Lynch Mob. That's going down SHW 21, November the 13th. That's another big match on this card. We're looking forward to seeing what kind of competition the beautiful Bald Besties will be for our resident tag team champions.
I cannot wait. And it's got to make you wonder, though, if a team like because there's other tag teams within the SHW roster that it makes you wonder how they're feeling bringing it, with outside teams coming in and getting a shot at the titles. You got a team like Fear, like Sunny Days and Logan Creed. You got Not Yet Rated, who I mentioned earlier. They're both in singles action. We think. We don't know if Kevin Ryan will be back. We didn't see him last month. But
yeah, we could make an interesting argument here about Not Yet Rated, because if anybody should have gotten a rematch for the tag titles, that should have been them. They never got a chance after that cage match to battle for the tag team championship. So if I'm Not Yet Rated, I'm screaming loud, but maybe that's not their job. Maybe it's
what? If Logan Chase isn't already, then we just put that in his head that he's going to. I don't know if we should have said anything, but anyways, we'll hear about it, I'm sure, either way. But another young man who we have not heard officially yet, but we're curious if we might see him at SHW 21 on November 13th. And that's the young man who is our guest here tonight on this episode of the podcast. I'm talking about a second-generation star making a big name all throughout the Southeast on the indie scene. We're talking about Ben Buchanan, and we're getting ready to talk to him. Let's check it out.
All right, guys, we're back with another fantastic interview, and I'm really excited. What I love about Southern Honor is not only do we get to see kind of, the guys who are absolutely veterans here in Georgia and in independent wrestling, but we get a chance to see the guys you're going to be talking about really nationally very, very soon. And so we have the opportunity to check out one of those guys. He is a second-generation wrestler who is doing incredible things, an amateur champion, and we have been seeing him for the last couple of months here in SHW. We're excited to talk today to Ben Buchanan. Ben, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. Just got back from the gym, so a little bit sore, but I'm doing great. It's an honor to talk to y'all, so thank y'all for bringing me on.
Man, it's an honor to have you here with us. So I want to jump in. Well, let me start here because, the honor that you have of being a second-generation superstar, what was that like with your dad being a wrestler? Your dad, of course, being Bull Buchanan.
For me, it was normal. I mean, there was no other life to live unless like that, but I can see from other people's point of view, it's kind of weird, going to school and, your classmates, his dad's on TV wrestling.
Yeah.
But when I was born, like around 2003, he left WE, so I didn't really get to experience that WWE lifestyle, but he went to Japan till about 2010. So,
wow.
He'd be gone for 2 months. So it's, I still live that lifestyle of, every Saturday when he worked the indies, every Saturday, 9 a.m. you got up, you got breakfast, you ate some eggs, and about 12 o'clock you got to get ready for the show and go to Florida, Columbus, Georgia, anywhere and everywhere. So it was a weird but fun lifestyle. It was, and hopefully now I get to live it.
So were you, as a kid, were you traveling with him to the different shows when you were younger?
Most of the time, even, I was still in elementary school, but even on Thursday nights, on school nights, I'd go down to Columbus, Georgia. I got to see guys like Micah Taylor, David Young, my dad, and other guys that went on and went to Impact and, done other stuff. So it was great to, be a little kid and get to see those kind of stuff and be backstage and watch it.
Absolutely.
But it was great.
It's funny. I remember growing up as a kid, loving wrestling. And so then being in school going, I think I want to join the wrestling team, and of course my mom was just like, academics, not athletics. So I'm like, okay, Ma. But so I'm curious, growing up in the house with your dad as a wrestler, did that in any way influence your decision to wrestle in an amateur way or in a professional way?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the sign-ups, because I usually played basketball when I was a kid, like in elementary, like rec ball and all that. Was basketball because my dad played basketball in college. So I said, okay, I'll do that first, and then pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But then sixth grade, I decided not to play basketball. I just thought I wouldn't be good at it anymore. So I think one day in my English class, they said, hey, the middle school wrestling team's having sign-ups. Come down to the cafeteria. And my teacher forced me to go.
Oh, wow.
I got the sign up, and I went up to my dad. I thought this was like pro wrestling. I thought this was basically what, there's going to be a ring. You learn how to train.
Yeah.
He said, no. I went to the first practice, completely opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I heard the jokes of this is how you lock up and everything. But, yeah, high school, all that, amateur wrestling, I liked the college offers that I got, but it was all just for the step up into this.
Wow.
So when those college offers and those everything, when they came up, I already knew, I'm going to pro wrestling. This is it.
Wow. That's amazing because, a lot of people, when you're in the teenage years and the formative years, you wrestle, you go through a lot of different career choices in your head anyway. I thought, at one point I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. No, I'm going to be a lawyer. No, I'm going to be a musician. Like, you think all of these kinds of things. And so for you to be so focused is really, really significant. At what point did you know, okay, this is the path I want to go?
I think I really want to say probably when my dad had his retirement show. I think back in 2013.
Okay.
I was about 12, so I was starting amateur wrestling. But it was him and D'Lo Brown, and I forgot the other two that they wrestled with. The show was great. It was in this old high school gym, and it was packed out, about 600 people there. And I remembered he allowed me and my little brother Zach to walk out with him.
Oh, wow.
And just walking out and hearing everybody cheer and going in the ring, just going into the ring and hearing everybody go crazy. I think that's what really said. That's when I said, okay, I got to do this. Because everybody already knew I was going to do it. But to me, that moment right there said, okay, we're going to do this full-fledged. Everything you're doing now is leading up to that.
You got that little taste of the crowd noise and just that buzz that it makes your hair stand up on your arms a little bit. That's awesome, man. And it will be remiss to say too, like you talked about your amateur wrestling background. You were a state champ this past year in Alabama, correct?
Yep. I think 45-0, 40
Wow.
by 10s. It was a pretty good season, especially the team overall. It's almost kind of like the underdog story. We were because in Alabama, you have 1A through 5A state champions. You're all these different schools and leagues and everything. It's like that. So you're wrestling these pretty rich schools, and we were the underdogs. We were like 2A, barely, almost there to 1A, and we got second in the state as a team.
Wow. And
we got one second placer, and he was a ninth grader.
Wow.
And then me and another fellow senior of mine, we both got state champions, both undefeated.
Wow.
That's awesome. And so congratulations, by the way.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
that's crazy because a lot of people have seen you over this past year or so, or half year, however long it's been, all over the Southeast at different promotions. You popped up in SHW, of course, recently at the RumbleJack. And then, of course, this past month, you took on Judas at the anniversary show. But a lot of people don't realize just how young you are. Like, are you still you're 18 or you just turned 19?
Just turned 19 in August. And yeah, I get a lot of people a lot of older people call me sir, and it doesn't feel comfortable. I just now passed the 18 age limit, so I think we should not be calling me sir yet.
Which by the way, and I appreciate the respect you've been showing me, but as we were messaging back and forth to do the podcast, every message from him ended with, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. But I was like, oh man, I'm feeling old over here, but I do appreciate the respect. But I just want to say, like, it's just crazy that you're so young, and like people don't realize you just graduated high school.
That's
And
amazing.
you know, and I have some younger relatives that are going through school and have graduations and stuff too during this pandemic era. How crazy was all that? And was it a huge letdown for you knowing that? Because when you're a senior, you're like really building up that graduation day, that
Yeah.
big graduation. And then to have it all kind of in this weird pandemic atmosphere, like how was that for you?
At first, it was weird. It was almost kind of like movie-like, you know, you really couldn't describe it. You know, they kind of had I think I remember we were in history class, first period, and a bunch of people didn't show up this one day. We're like, okay, this is when COVID started, you know, making its wave over the States here. And then I think the next Monday, there was only like 5 of us in the class now.
Wow.
And Mr. Bono, our history teacher, he looked at us and he says, I've never seen anything like this.
Wow.
It was, I think, March 13th, and they said, we got the email during science, and they said, all right, you guys are done. No more school for y'all seniors. We don't know what to tell you, but just keep updated. We'll tell you when graduation is. But, like, our senior class was very active with the school, so we were kind of like, we had a lot of things still going, senior pranks, all of it, prom, everything. Like we started a news show that I hosted, and it was like all crazy that it was just taken away like that. But, you know, it helped us learn to be patient with everything. So I think to every bad thing, there was a good thing to come out of it.
Did you end up having any sort of graduation like a few months later?
I think in June or July, late June or early July, we actually had a graduation. It was almost normal, like, you know, everybody, you know, we kept our distance and everything. We got the diploma, you couldn't shake everybody's hand, but it was about normal. And then everybody, if they wanted to take pictures, sign yearbooks, go down to church right near the school, go to that parking lot. But at least that's the best thing. At least we got it.
Right.
And that's all I could have asked for. And we got a prom, so that's all I could have asked for as well.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. This was definitely a bizarre and unique year. Certainly, you know, when you start talking about graduation and things like that, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm curious then, when did you start your pro wrestling career? I mean, if you just graduated high school, were you actually wrestling while you were a senior in high school?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, that's crazy.
I actually started my first match, I believe it was August the 28th, 2017. So I was 16 years old.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It was in Lincoln, Alabama. I'm pretty sure it was a 6-man tag. And actually, my dad worked with me in the 6-man. He was my tag partner.
Wow.
They were doing something. There was a promotion called Southern Legacy Wrestling during the time.
Okay.
And they were mostly in Montford. But because I refereed when I was 14, all the way up to 16. And I got that first match. I didn't know what I was doing. All they told me, I was under a mask. So all I did was, you know, grab the guy here, do something.
What was your name? What was your name when you were under the mask?
They told me to make up with something. And the best thing was it's still one of my favorite songs, but my favorite song at the time at being 16 was, what was it? End of Heartache by Killswitch Engage.
Okay.
So I was singing Killswitch. So I was like, all right, there we go, Killswitch. And actually pretty worked. So hopefully none of the Mumford fans hear that, because then if I go back down there, they wanted to kill us. So hopefully I don't go back down there anytime soon. And they know that's the Killswitch guy.
Oh, boy.
That's awesome.
Hilarious. Absolutely.
Hey, I hate to interrupt here, but while you were just talking, I got a text message from our general manager, Gary Lamb. Now, before we brought you on, Ben, GB and I were talking about a couple of match announcements for SHW 21 coming up on November 13th. I just had you heard anything about you being in a match? So apparently Gary Lamb has just informed me that they have come up with an opponent for you for November 13th, but he's not telling me who it is. So he just says, stand by. I'll get back to you in a little while. So, GB, you haven't heard anything about this?
I've not heard anything about this, but if Gary's, got you on the bat phone here, like,
right?
I'm just like trying to figure out what in the world and who Who could it be? I don't know.
I don't know. So you just came off a huge match against Judas at the last show. And, of course, we set that up with the RumbleJack where you shocked everybody. You made your debut with SHW. You jump in the ring and immediately eliminate the biggest guy in the ring. That was insane. How did that feel for you to make your SHW debut, first of all, and then second of all, to get in there and eliminate the biggest dog in the fight?
So making my debut, you know, for the past year, I've heard about Southern Honor. Past 2 years, I've heard about them, you know, just everything going on, especially when, you know, guys like Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and all them came in. But I was also watching the matches like Joe Black and Huckabee when they went at it in that was Street Fight, I think it was.
Well, it was a dog collar match that basically evolved into a street fight because it ended out in the parking lot. So, yeah, it was crazy.
I saw that. David Ali, Danny Jordan. I saw all of them. And I was like, okay, I really got to get in there. And I've messaged Gary and I said, hey man, anytime you want me, I'm open up here.
Yeah.
But when the time got right, they brought me in, and that feeling, you cannot describe it. It was, I don't know. I know they probably weren't used to me at first when I first came out, but I think after eliminating Judas, which, I've seen Judas for a while in other promotions, and the guy is taller than me so that's not, that's not every day. So
and you're a big boy. If people haven't seen you in person, I mean, you're a hoss.
Yes.
So it's the first time in a while. It's a little intimidating, a little bit, not too much, but a little. But seeing Judas right there, right at the ropes, why not? Why not? Just like I think about when Maven eliminated Undertaker.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
Why not get your name out there? But
I was at that show live, by the way, when that happened. It was in Atlanta. It was at Phillips Arena. Yeah.
That's crazy.
2002, Royal Rumble 2002.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But
anyways, I still stand by it. Maven was never officially eliminated, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, God. Maven's won the last 18 Royal Rumbles, huh?
He got beat up and down throughout the entire arena by the Undertaker for eliminating him. But anyways, we're off topic. Go ahead, back to your story.
Oh no, you're good. But Judas, he had other things in mind, just like with Taker, coming after me and set up the match. And they had me talk about it, and when they released it, I just basically said, I don't respect Judas for attacking me behind, but I respect him, because he beat me. And I'm not cocky. I don't brag a lot, but it takes a lot to beat me.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it, but hats off to him. But coming back to Southern Honor and, Gary just now making that match, which I had no idea about. So I guess I got to prepare now.
Well, stand by because, and I'm hoping that he gets back to me before the end of this interview because I want to know. He didn't tell me who the opponent was. He only said that you do have a match coming up November 13th. So I do want to mention too, real quick. You already kind of talked about it. Was your singles match, and it was your singles debut at SHW. Was just last month at the anniversary show, Still Here too, where you faced Judas one-on-one. I remember I got to talk to you before the show started, just to kind of get your thoughts real quick. And you gave me a quote that I had never heard before, and it has since become my favorite line. I loved it. Can you tell the folks what it was?
It was okay. Now I remember. Any horse can be rode, any man can be throwed.
I love it. I love it.
Wow.
It's just a great line. I loved it. And you called
and
Judas
you're strong
out.
enough to do it, though. That's the thing. You can throw anybody. You're a big, strong guy.
That's what he was referring to, was the fact that he threw Judas over the top rope. So I loved that line, by the way. I've been using it all week ever since then. I've been telling everybody that, hey, you better watch out. Any horse can be rode, any man can be throwed.
It works. It works. After you say it works.
It doesn't work when I say it. Let me just say it doesn't work as well when I say it.
Well, there's a slight difference between you and Ben. Just a slight, a little, a little. I got to ask you this, Ben, because really, this first year for you, and really it's been a little bit longer than a year, but I mean, it has been an amazing year. I mean, like you've really had an opportunity to do a lot of things, and you're catching a lot of people's eyes. I mean, when we first saw you, we were like, this guy's a star. He's a star, And recently, Stephen Platinum, who he talks a lot about what's going on in the wrestling world here, and he labeled you as kind of one of the best wrestlers in Georgia in his honorable mention. Which he's a pretty tough guy to impress.
Yeah.
So
you've heard of him, who we're talking about.
Yes, yeah. So I got to ask you, does it put any pressure on you to have all of these accolades kind of in this first big year? Does it put a lot of pressure on you? How are you handling that?
I kind of see it when back in amateur wrestling. The beginning of senior year, I was first in the state preseason. They ranked me first in preseason.
Oh, wow.
So you had all these guys target me in the back. So that's kind of how I see it. But at the same time, I'm a young guy, so I still have a lot to prove. But there is pressure, but at the same time, I'm ready for that pressure. I know I can handle that pressure, and I know I can take full control of it.
Wow. I love that. And I think you've got an absolutely bright future ahead of you. I've got to ask you this because, with a bright future, there are a lot of potential opportunities that lie ahead for you. For you, kind of, where do you see Ben Buchanan in about 5 years?
And that's something that my dad, Bull Buchanan, he explained. He opened a lot, and I agree. He's helped open some doors for me by the name. But he said, right now, I don't want to open too many doors for you. I don't want you going here. Say if Orlando called up and they said, hey, we want you down here. He doesn't want me going there yet, but because even I told him, I want to master my craft on the indies. That fool me, because if I could, I would like to go down there, but for right now, I like to be here. So in 5 years, I'd love to, basically dominate the Georgia indie scene, put my name out there, hopefully go to Japan, hopefully go there. And maybe if time is right, if I got the experience, Jacksonville, Florida, or Orlando, Florida, one of those two.
Yeah.
But it's just how it goes. I can't tell the future, but hopefully I can predict it right.
Yeah.
Well, you're starting out the right way, and I feel like the future is very bright for you. And just something that I was thinking about a little while ago, you said your first match was it 2017?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was with your dad, right?
Yes.
Now, so take us back to earlier when you said you first got that bug about the wrestling bug when you were at your dad's retirement show, which was what year?
That was about, I want to say 2013.
Okay, so 2013. So it's just funny to me, and it's pro wrestling, and you always hear never say never. And it's always the big joke about when wrestlers retire, that they never really retire. So that's what I was getting at. Like, your dad had a retirement show, and not only was he wrestling with you in 2017, but I've seen him on multiple shows since last year and this year. So it's crazy to me. So how active is he? Is he pretty regular?
He likes to just he doesn't want to be back full time.
Right.
But he would like to do something with me. If I ever need the help, if I need somebody to call up, he's right there. He's my dad. So, but it all started with that, because he wanted to help me get my foot in the door and show me these kind of steps and going into it. And then as it continued, he got a little bit more active, but it depends the time and place. Hopefully soon, if anything comes down to it, Southern Honor would be the next place.
Yeah, wow. That'd be awesome. We mentioned this promotion before. They're right across the state line in Piedmont, Alabama. It's talking about Pro South, which I know you've been a part of a few times. That's actually where I saw you for the very first time. I was it was the SHW title was being defended by Logan Creed against William Huckabee, and it was I think it was last November, so November 2019. And so I went, and because our title was on the line, I was there as a guest commentary guy. So I jumped in the commentary booth, and I believe it was you and your dad. It might have been another 6-man match was like the main event that night. I don't remember who your opponents were, but I remember watching that night. And of course I knew who Bull Buchanan was, but I didn't know about you until that night. And I thought, wow, who is this guy? Like, obviously you're Bull's kid, but I just had never heard of you, and seeing you that night, I could tell right away that you had the pedigree. And so I've been excited to kind of watch you since then, and I've been very glad that you finally made your way to SHW, because I've seen you in other promotions since then, and I just kept thinking, like, this guy's got to come to Southern Honor. So it's very cool to finally have you here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff, you know. And so again, Southern Honor is excited to have you. Let's talk a bit about your experience here at Southern Honor, because again, you've really jumped from the frying pan right to the fire. I mean, coming from the outskirts with the whole situation with RumbleJack, going in with Michael Judas, which I have to say, Judas hadn't had a singles match here in SHW in quite some time because he'd been doing a lot of tag team work and things of that nature. Tell me a few things that you learned in that match against Michael Judas, because for you, as you mentioned earlier, there aren't a lot of people who can stand eye to eye with you, literally and figuratively. Tell us some of the things that you learned in that match against Judas.
That I'm not the biggest guy around town. That's first of all.
That's an important
But
lesson.
Yeah. But I think somebody said it. You know, me being humble, I don't believe it, but some people said it. It was probably one of the most important low card matches in the past 10 years. You know, we were the second match, so low card right there, but one of the most important low card matches in 10 years. You had somebody with the experience of Judas, and he actually tagged my father. I forgot about that, and I just now realized. So maybe he knew coming in there what I was all about, because how could I not learn from my father? But
yeah,
you had this up and coming guy, but I've learned that the competition in Southern Honor is way up than some of the other places I've been to.
Wow.
Well, let me just say, you mentioned where you're at on the card, and that's something about SHW that I feel like, and GB probably agrees, is different than any other promotion you're going to go to, and that is that every match on the card could be a main event match anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily feel like the fact that you were a second match, or, you know, I wouldn't even call it a low card match. I mean, you guys could have main evented any other show, and it was one great match. And that's what, you know, I heard some people say the same thing about it. It was a very important match for you. And I think you exceeded the expectations. I think you showed everybody that, yeah, I've got what it takes and I can go toe to toe with these guys. Cause Judas has been around for a long time. I mean, we're talking about a long time veteran here, not just in Georgia, but just all over the place. And so the fact that you could get in there and, you know, go toe to toe with him, you know, despite you were on the losing side of the match, but I mean, it was still, and I'm sure we said this on commentary that night too. I mean, you still put on one great showing, especially for your first singles match at SHW. So, like I said, man, you could talk about guys like Randy Orton or something like that. You have this pedigree. What is he, second or third generation? But he's kind of was born into it and like had these expectations. And I feel like you're kind of the same, cut from that same cloth. So, again, man, and I know we just keep like pumping you up here, but but it's true. Like we're not blowing smoke. Like I honestly believe that. So we're excited that you're around, man, and we hope to see a lot more of you at SHW. Obviously, I'm kind of stretching for time here because I'm hoping Gary will text me back here and let me know who your opponent is.
You know
so we
how
can
Gary
tell the
can
fans.
be sometimes.
But he's probably working out the details here to make sure it's a solid match here before he tells me. But we're going to announce the exclusive here as soon as I find out.
Yeah. Let me ask you this really quickly. There are, you know, being a second generation superstar has its bit of challenges to it. You know, there's always, I mean, there's nowhere you're going to go where you're not going to hear your dad's name. But do you feel a pressure to be better than him? Does that loom over you at all? Or do you feel like you're able to really establish your own path, whatever that may be?
I think it's, you know, it's not in the competition way, but try to be better than him, you know, because usually when I first started, especially when I first started, you know, they introduced me, I said, second generation to WWE superstar, Ben Buchanan. And I never had a problem with that. But as time goes by, you kind of realize, okay, I don't mind it, but I kind of want to start my own thing now.
Yeah.
But you know, when I get in the ring, I always hear people, and I understand why they say, oh, you move just like Bull. You move just like your dad. And I agree with that. I would, you know, that's a compliment because I see him in the ring from back in the Attitude Era, one of the most agile big guys, you know, I see. And that's not me being biased. That's just me watching if I was a fan.
Yeah.
But to be compared to that, that's great, but I try to put my own twist on it a little bit, you know, with that amateur background,
Yes.
the agility that I still have right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of me, and he wants me to. He's told me he wants me to be better than he was.
Yeah.
And same, if I ever have a kid, you know, and they get into wrestling, I'll say, I want you to be better than me. It's almost kind of like that competition, like in wrestling, you know, you got that teammate, hey, try to be better than me. I want that competition. Bring it. That's just how I view it at sometimes.
Yeah. No, that's good. And it makes a lot of sense. I asked that because we can look down the line at, you know, some superstars whose children didn't quite live up to them. And then there are others who you could say surpassed them. You mentioned Randy Orton, Brandon, and that's definitely one of those who comes to mind. And, you know, certainly I think you got a trajectory that there won't be many more days when people keep referring to you as the son of Bull Buchanan. Yeah. And that's no knock to your father. It is just when you get in the ring, you know, that we end up losing that thought because your own identity starts to shine through. And I think that's a compliment to the work that you've been doing. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hey, guys, I was going to let you finish your question here because I did just receive a text. I didn't want to break in.
Okay.
Although I guess I could have because it's breaking news, breaking news. We actually mentioned this guy's name earlier, and I'm so excited for this. I'm keeping you on the edge of your seat.
Oh, Lord.
Gary just informed me that Ben's opponent for November 13th, SHW 21, the Incredible Huck, William Huckabee. Are you kidding me?
Oh, boy. First of all, I get nervous because anytime we mention his name, it's like Beetlejuice around here.
Right.
Like, you know, you mention his name 3 times and somehow he'll show up. And that's actually a very big match. You mentioned earlier about the match between Joe and Huck, the dog collar match, which happened earlier this year. What are your thoughts going into this now that we know you versus the Incredible Huck, November 13th? That is a Friday the 13th type of situation. What are your thoughts getting that news right now?
Mind blowing. First of all, it's Huckabee, you know. He's been around for a minute, but you know, I watched that match of him and Joe and the process going through, and I've seen him in Pro South, and I've actually been against him in tag matches, and I know that he can, if he wants to fight, he wants to fight. Hopefully, he doesn't want to fight because I can out wrestle him, and I'm pretty sure I can outfight him. Growing up around Rankin, Alabama, you have to learn how to fight sometimes. So.
Wow.
Well, and here's the thing too. You know, I just mentioned that Judas had all these years of experience. I mean, talk about experience, Huckabee, and he'll be mad for me throwing his age out. I won't say his exact age, but he's like twice your age. So that's crazy to me. But all these years of experience, and here you come. You know, he's got to be thinking like, I'm not going to let this new kid come in here and try to, you know, make an example of me, try to make a name off of me. And on the other side, here's you saying, okay, here's an opportunity to make a name for myself, even more so than I did against Judas. So you got your work cut out for you, though, because, I mean, Huckabee is a bad dude.
Heck, I asked for competition, and I'm getting competition, so get what you pray for.
Yeah, you're getting it. So November 13th, wow, breaking news. Ben Buchanan against Huckabee. And I got to say this, you may be getting him at the right time because he's not been the same after that dog collar match. He had a match. He's only had really one singles match in SHW since then, and it didn't go his way. You know, he's looked different. He's felt different. And I know you're just finding this news out and you haven't had a chance to really think of a game plan, but you know, from what we know about you and what you know about you, what do you think you're going to have to do to topple Huck? Do you think you're going to have to depend on your mat game, your amateur background? Is it going to be power? Which way do you think you're going to need to go to overcome Huck?
I think you can prepare for anything until you actually get in the ring, you get popped in the mouth, you know.
Yeah.
So right now I'm preparing to wrestle, you know,
Okay.
Keep it clean, keep it, respectful. Let's wrestle. You know, man versus man. But like I said, if Huck wants to fight, I may be 19, but I'm still considered a man, so I can fight like a man.
All right.
Hey, and like we said before, like, I don't think a lot of people realize you're as young as you are, because people look at you and go, he's not 19. He can't be that young. But the other thing I wanted to mention is just a word of advice. I heard this from somebody one time, and Huck's kind of a big dude. So just know this: any horse can be rode and any man can be thrown.
Wise words.
Wise words from the great Bull Buchanan. There you go.
Very wise words. I love that. Well, let people know how they can reach out to you. I'm sure there are a lot of folks who would love to at least just send you a wishes or those types of things. How can people reach out to you by way of social media?
Facebook, Ben Buchanan. Trying to remember my Twitter username. I think it's Ben Buchanan, okay. MDH, all capitalized the MDH, and that's about it. Just Twitter and Facebook.
Awesome.
Hopefully, I do get some fans out there that watch this and message me and hopefully support me on this journey.
Yeah.
Just curious, what does the MDH stand for?
Modern day hero, because when I first started, I still do. I watch a lot of old 80s, world class.
Kerry Von Erich.
I was a big fan of Kerry Von Erich, Terry Gordy, and Kerry came out to the modern day warrior, Tom Sawyer by Rush.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, why not modern day hero? So I've been going by that, and now I've earned a nickname of Man of 1,000 Lariats. Hopefully I can live up to that one as well.
That's right. And man, I forgot to mention that when we saw you in your singles match against Judas last month. Boy, were you lighting people up. Look like Stan Hansen in there lighting people up with those lariats, man. It was just crazy. And of course, that's what he was working on to prevent you from using the lariat. But man, what a maneuver that is from. And I'm telling you, people, if you haven't seen this kid in person, he's a big dude. I'm not lying. He's a big dude. So I got to tell you, after you face off with Huck, I really hope we get to see you, and maybe this happens at SHW Ring. I'd love to see Ben Buchanan versus Kill Switch. Maybe
I gotta give him the phone call and ask him about that one.
All right, maybe I just something I think the fans want to see sometime, but I don't know. Just saying. Well, Ben Buchanan, thank you so much for joining us, man. We had a blast talking to you, and we just good luck for the future, and we can't wait to see you November 13th, right back here at SHW, buddy.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for having me. Hopefully this ain't the last time in the ring and also on this interview.
You got it, man. Can't wait to have you back. Well, there you go. The man of 1,000 lariats, Ben Buchanan. And how about that breaking news we just got? Coming up November 13th, SHW 21. It's going to be Ben Buchanan taking on the Incredible Huck, William Huckabee. And I got to say, I feel like we might be past 3 times here. We've said his name.
I'm getting nervous.
And I thought he might show up there after he heard us talking about him there. But how about that?
Yeah, that's going to be a great match. And here we go again, breaking more news here. And that's going to – I am excited. That match has a lot of possibilities. We know how tough Huck can be. For me, the stock for Ben Buchanan went way up. I mean, you're talking about a state amateur wrestling champion who went undefeated, 45-0. Like, this guy has got the tools. He's got the goods. So I think this is going to be a tough test for Huckabee. And let's consider what I'm about to say. Huckabee has not won a singles match in SHW in 2020.
And yeah, you could take into account that we've been in a pandemic for 6 months or however long it was that we were off. But it doesn't matter because, yeah, you're talking about that January match was the dog collar match. And then I don't think we saw him after that until
February. We saw him in
March. And you know he's got to be bitter about that because and this is to take nothing away from Devin Dixon, but that's the guy he faced at that show. And Devin Dixon making his first time appearance at SHW, defeated Huckabee. And Huckabee, you could see it on his face on that night that he he was different. Like that dog collar match had changed him or something.
Absolutely.
And then of course the pandemic hit. We took a bunch of months off, and then he didn't win the RumbleJack. He was at the RumbleJack, but he did not win it. And now it's his first singles match since March of this year. So,
Yeah.
by the way, let me just say 2020 has felt like it's been 10 years long because
It really has.
We talked about this last week with Brian Pillman Jr., which, by the way, if
Yeah.
you didn't see that episode or hear that episode, and go back, check it out on YouTube, Facebook, favorite podcast platforms.
Mm-hmm.
But, he mentioned how long 2020 has felt.
Yeah.
And, Ben talking about that dog collar match, he had seen that match between Huck and Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, wow, that was just in January, which
Right.
seems forever ago. So,
It does.
I mean,
It does. It's really quite crazy, and so it's going to be a big match for Ben. But you mentioned kind of the year that has been, and so Stephen Platinum is about to get a second mention on our podcast, which is.
I hope he's not like Huckabee, is he? Where you mentioned him
Right,
3
like
times.
he might show up. Like what in the world? But for those who don't know, Stephen Platinum, he has a podcast called Full Disclosure. He is a wrestling journalist / critic for a lot of independent wrestling. He's behind the Georgia Wrestling History Awards, and so last week he went on and named the top 10 wrestlers in Georgia. We alluded to it a little bit earlier because Ben Buchanan was on the honorable mention list, along with Hold My Beer Hansen. And the thing that's intriguing to me about this is roughly, 7 or 8 of the top 10 folks are active on the Southern Honor Wrestling roster, which is incredible to see. In fact, let's just say the top 6 guys in the state of Georgia, all SHW. And so in case you're interested, number 6 is Gunnar Miller. Number 5 is AC Mack. Number 4 is Corey Hollis. Number 3 is Logan Creed. Number 2 is Michael Judas. And the number 1 wrestler in the state of Georgia is our SHW champion, Joe Black. And so I just wanted to shout out our guys. I also have to mention Austin Towers, who, we saw him last month make a shocking appearance during the David Ali and Owen Knight match. He's at number 9. And so it's crazy to see what has happened with this list, but it just goes to show that what we're bringing here in Southern Honor really is the best pro wrestling in Georgia, and I would dare say in all of independent wrestling. And I'm just excited. Our champion is running the whole show. And so shout out to the promo king, Joe Black, the SHW champion. I just like saying that.
I was gonna say, doesn't it feel good that we could say Joe Black is the SHW champion? Like,
It
I know
feels
we're supposed to remain unbiased, but
He's
just
worked
can't-
hard. He's deserved it. I mean, like it's amazing. But the fact that SHW has dominated the list of the top 10 wrestlers in Georgia is amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing. So again, kudos.
And let me just say, we'll pull the curtain back here just for one split second, because I know, like, in one respect, if I'm going to mention David Ali, I know that's going to upset you. And I don't mean to upset you, but
It's okay. I'm a big boy.
I feel like, and that's a great list that he came up with.
Mhm.
But I do feel like not only David Ali, but also Owen Knight, I feel like are 2 guys that should have at least been honorable mentions, if not somewhere on the top 10. But
I agree.
neither here nor there. I'm just saying.
I agree.
But
Ali
you know what?
has
We
done
still have
some-
he's done some big stuff. Both of them have.
Yeah.
And so we still have a couple months left in the year
We do.
to change that. So we shall see. And, who knows what's going to happen with the Georgia Wrestling Awards. If and there's been talk that they may not happen because of the pandemic and 6 months off.
There's
and
been all kinds of talk about it. So
who knows?
We'll
Who
see.
knows?
Who knows? But if it does happen, there's still, I think, plenty to go off of for all of the promotions. And certainly there's enough for Southern Honor to sweep again. And, one would say I'm biased, but I think we've got our entire team is amazing. So it'd be fun to see. So anyway, top 10 wrestlers, SHW, and I think there are plenty. Honestly, our entire roster could have filled this list and the honorable mention with people left over. So
Yeah, agreed. And like you said, our whole team, not just the wrestlers, but production crew, every single
Absolutely.
person up and down, every single SHW show just absolutely kills it. So thank you to our SHW family and crew. And hey, like we mentioned, SHW 21 is coming up November 13th. You heard us talk about a couple matches that have been announced already. Well, actually 4 at this point, because we already knew about Gunner versus Joe for the title. You got the tag titles on the line again, where you got Matt and Joey taking on the Beautiful Bald Besties. You've got Jordan Kingsley taking on Hold My Beer Hansen, and Hansen's first ever singles match at SHW. And then, of course, our guest tonight, Ben Buchanan, we just found out will be taking on William Huckabee. So all the details about that show will, of course, be on social media throughout the coming weeks. And, of course, more matches will be announced as well in the next coming weeks. So, man, I cannot wait. But, you know, we still got a few episodes of this show left before then. And until then, we cannot wait to see you next week on another episode of SHW.
This is Our Wrestling.